If this film is so brilliant and feminist as people say it is, then why is there so much female nudity? Why is there so much blatant objectification of the female body? It's because the irony is the point. And we can talk all day about the actual efficacy of satire, or at what point depiction actually becomes endorsement or romanticization, but I, for one, am personally thrilled that this subject matter has finally been addressed in film with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Because existing as a woman is a prison. Period. End of sentence. In every lifetime. And one of my favorite things about The Substance is the fact that even the fantasy version of yourself, the best possible life you could ever live as a woman, is completely and utterly dehumanizing. I've only seen this film once so far, and I cannot wait to see it again, but I walked out of this film, which was an incredibly upsetting and disturbing and disorienting experience, thinking that this might just be one of my new favorite films of all time. That's obviously for a lot of reasons. Like, this movie is incredibly well made on every single level, and if Demi Moore does not get nominated for an Academy Award for this, I will personally take to the streets. But it's really because this film has such a brutal and unflinching approach to a core truth that no one wants to acknowledge, that the beauty that we all admire so much is inseparable from the horrors of trying to reach it. It made me think of one of my favorite quotes of all time from incredible film scholar Molly Haskell, who wrote the book that is also incredible, From Reverence to Rape, The Treatment of Women in the Movies. And the quote is this: "The big lie perpetrated on Western society is the idea of women's inferiority, a lie so deeply ingrained in our social behavior that to merely recognize it is to risk unraveling the entire fabric of civilization." When I first read that line, it's the opening line to that book, it shook me to my core. And I think it's because when we confront these really dark truths that no one wants to talk about, it is deeply uncomfortable. And I think that that is exactly what this film does in the way that it approaches the self-hatred we have as women, the way that we are conditioned to believe that we can never, ever be good enough. And it's because we can't from a societal standpoint. We truly never can reach the standards that they are trying to set for us. And I honestly don't know if I'll ever be able to get over the brilliance of how effective this film is at conveying its true message, because satire is notoriously easy to misinterpret. And there is a gratuitous amount of female nudity and the depiction of exactly the kinds of things that this film is being critical of, but the point is so razor sharp that it is impossible to miss. I'm honestly just completely amazed and blown away and in love with this movie. I think it's one of the most poignant and relevant commentaries on modern feminism that I've frankly ever seen. Yes, I obviously love the commentary about what it's like to age as a woman and the way society increasingly sees us as irrelevant and frankly invisible, but I also think equally as important is the conversation happening in this movie about the way that the tools that we are given for our so-called empowerment just further dehumanize and objectify us and force us to participate in the incredible cruel irony of subjugating ourselves further in order to feel momentary empowerment. The perpetual cycle of self-hatred and self-destruction, because it's easier for us to internalize all of our greatest fears that maybe we truly are disgusting, instead of tackling the much harder and much bigger truth that maybe society is just fundamentally broken and refuses to accept women as just full and complete people. Is really fucking hard. And I think that this movie illustrates how easy it is to turn that into a me problem instead of a society problem. I think another thing that this movie brilliantly conveys is that the cruelty of that is the point. I fucking love this movie. Yes, it is as disturbing as you have heard. It's fucked up. If you're not comfortable with body horror, you might fucking hate this, but it's incredible. It's honestly incredible.